Right on. Welcome back to the Cody Storts podcast, talking about booze and the lovely Miss Erica here enlightening us with all the things she has going on today.
Hello.
Taking care of the young ladies. I like
Oh.
that. That's good. And I meant that in the right way.
Yes.
Taking care of- making them feel better.
They're the future of our generation.
They're the future of our
Just kind
everything.
of showing them they're all, they have their, Wonder Woman inside of them. So actually the name of the organization is wondrouswoman.org. So if you want to look it up. Yeah, Wondrous.
She's like, no.
The regular.
Please don't make me. Yeah, no, I got to look.
Okay.
We'll put it on the screen. We didn't want to sound silly. We'll just make it sound right. We'll be
You can
good.
tag it, yeah.
Sorry.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. All right, man. So I'm a little curious. I've been sniffing on this thing, and I say that lightly, but this is wild, dude. What did you pour me here?
Pamplemousse.
Yes. So this is grapefruit.
So this is a.
If I know what pamplemousse is.
It
right?
is a liqueur.
Right.
So alcohol education of the day. We all started bartending and or have worked in bars and or been in bars at some point in our lives, and we've seen a creme de something, creme de menthe,
Yes,
creme de
absolutely.
cacao, or something like that, and we all thought that probably had an association. Initially, it had an association with a dairy product, right? Creme de well, it does not.
Right.
So creme is a French classification for viscosity, or otherwise known as sugar content.
Okay.
So the French classification of sugar content for crèmes versus liqueurs. Crèmes are 25% sugar, liqueurs are 10% sugar.
So one is a much bigger hangover than the other.
Yeah.
Is it- right? I mean,
Sugar high.
yeah.
Well, if you're doing laybacks of this, then yes, it would be.
There was a time in my life when we do laybacks to everything. That's booze we're in. No problem.
In this stage of my career, in my
No.
life, in my evolution, that
It's not happening.
I'm drinking 3/4 of an ounce of this in one cocktail, and then I'm going home.
Yes,
So-
totally.
So this-
unless I want to Uber.
Right, exactly. Well, yes, still Ubering, but it is a modifier. So
Okay.
it is the secondary cocktail in a cocktail drink, if
Right.
you will. So if you wanted to make it tequila based, you could do a tequila, basically 2 parts tequila, 1 part
Right.
this, and make a Paloma riff. You could
Totally.
do something with a wine. You could do like a rosé wine. You could do, let's say, about 3 ounces of rosé wine, about 1 ounce of this. You could fill it with ice and then do soda water on top, and you can make like a
spritzer.
nice little spritzer aperitif style. Anyway, the point behind this is that this has been liqueurs as this style and crèmes as this style in France have been around since pretty much 150 years.
This barely tastes like alcohol.
Well, it is. It's only
That's what I mean.
It's
It's
only
like-
16%.
Right,
I mean,
right.
so it's the same ABV as what you would get in like a big Burgundy maybe, or like maybe a Lodi Zinfandel or something like that. Probably
Yeah, it's
more
almost like a
appropriately.
grapefruit ice wine.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's
and
tasty.
And so it is a distillate. It is a grapefruit distillate, and the purpose of it, and it is a liqueur. So there is going to have
Don't
a sugar
be shy.
content. There is a sugar content in it, and so the purpose of it is to be a flavor layering ingredient to a cocktail.
Right.
This would not. This would
Thanks,
not.
Vanna.
Thank you. Yes.
For those of
I
you
know, right?
who are listening, she's vanning all the bottles for us.
know.
Good
Thank you.
label shot.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, Giffard pamplemousse, and so pamplemousse is the French word for grapefruit. So that is
Sure.
a grapefruit distillate.
But Giffard carries, I mean, if I'm not wrong, there's a slew of flavors,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
Yes.
Like
So-
for instance, here we have a pineapple, which is a maceration.
Tony, you want to try one of these? If you like grapefruit and booze, both of those are in this, and it's good.
And sugar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Sweet.
give you the pineapple.
Piña.
So for those of you,
There you go, buddy.
real spirit geeks out there and all, to go fully into the maceration process and all of this,
Oh, here.
pour that over there.
Yeah. Thank you, Vanna. Well done.
So this is a one source pineapple from the Caribbean, and it's handled 3 different ways. There's about 40% of this that is a maceration. There's about 40% of this that is cooked, confit, I guess, as the French would say, to use a culinary word.
Confit is to cook in its own fat.
Right. Well, but cooked in its own juices, is, if you will, is what they as they described it to me. So a French person told me that, so I guess I can relay it.
That French person was a little wrong, but
Yes.
we'll take it as it is.
The French are never wrong.
Yeah, they're never wrong.
Just ask them.
They made freedom fries.
I know, right? And French fries.
Exactly. Exactly.
And then about 20% of it is dried and candied. And so you're dealing with the same pineapple source that's handled 3 different ways and goes into the maceration. And so that's where you're getting then the actual, like, full flavored bodied, fruit expression of it. Because what the difficulty of this, as you know, when you apply heat, when you apply oxygen,
it changes everything.
It changes everything. So we're trying to suspend that flavor that we experienced when we first opened that fruit. We're trying to suspend that in a shelf-stable format, in an alcohol format that you can continue to experience within a beverage.
Right. So so all these are, and I'm guessing there's no real aging on these, right?
No, correct.
Yeah, this is straight up. You're making the liquor, you're infusing it, you're pulling it out, and then go straight into a bottle.
By aging, putting it in wood, no. By aging, as in some of these might take up to 6 months through the maceration process.
Yeah, totally.
And some of them might be done in 2 to 3
But I mean, there's no resting
hours.
for it.
Correct.
Yeah,
yes.
This tastes like dang pineapple.
Yeah, they should make a Jolly Rancher flavor.
Yeah,
out of that.
usually though fruit tastes off. Like people are like, oh, that's. They'll tell you it's peach. You taste it, and you're like, I guess it's
artificial.
It's peach-ish.
Right.
It's like vanilla extract versus actual vanilla are not the same thing.
Like Erica was saying, it has that Jolly Rancher kind of peach essence to it. But that's not what this is. It's because we're using actual fruit.
Yeah, it tastes
I
like
said
pineapple.
they should make a Jolly Rancher flavor.
Back to you.
This should be alcohol candy.
Back to your original.
This is what?
Back to your original question before, like the difference between this and what we had grown up on is those industrialized liqueur brands, the ones that have the rainbow flavors on the bottom that are, you buy it, like $8.
Yeah, the Smurf covered blue or
$8.99 at the grocery store or something. So those are neutral grain spirit, artificial color, artificial flavor, test tube babies, as I call them.
Right.
Yeah. So they were born out of a test tube, and these were born out of the true fruit. So
yeah. Well,
so, again, the difference between your marinara sauce in a $325 jar or what you're going to get here if you're dining at the restaurant here.
Yeah, we actually cook it.
Yeah, exactly.
I understand.
Go.
And this is and what other flavors do they carry though? Just so that it's out in the world, and all these can be found, I believe, at like regular stores, right?
Yeah.
So what other flavors? Like I think there's a blueberry, right? I mean, a blackberry.
We've got a blackberry. We've got a lychee. We've got a peach. We've got a rhubarb.
Apricot is good.
Apricot, banana, the pineapple, fruit, which we just had, the passion fruit, elderflower, ginger, cassis.
Holy cow!
Oh, keep going. Yeah, we've got.
There's a triple sec. There is a orgeat.
So triple sec. Let me get wrong. I thought triple sec originally was like a kind of booze, but it turns out it's a flavor. Isn't it just orange?
It's a liqueur.
You're right.
Yes.
No, you're right. Yeah. Isn't orange like triple sec was originally cheap Grand Marnier, if I remember right back in the day.
Yes.
I'm sure it's evolved since then. But
yeah, the word sec is sweet, so it's triple. Right. So it's sweet is really what the translation of it is triple sweet. So, but it is a orange rind maceration that is then sweetened at the end of it. So that is where that started from, triple sec. So you've got brands like like ours
I'm
with
getting
Jafar.
Educated. Yeah, that's good.
You're welcome.
No, that's awesome. I just remember being like the bottle. You're like, oh, I have blue curacao, which is blue triple sec, and then I have triple sec, which is sweet orange.
And it basically just goes in everything. It was the Long Island iced tea.
It was everything back in the day. I think that was all we had, right?
Yeah.
I have orange, and then I have fruit. That was it.
But if you're in France,
this is crazy.
If you're in France, you have triple sec as an aperitif. Or you might even as an after dinner drink if you want with a cube of ice or something, because it is a well-made distillate that is essentially a orange rind maceration distillate.
Well then, see, cocktails have come so far, and I wish that everybody listening would go to their local actual craft cocktail bartender and just try something new. Because I get guys all the time that are like, I mean, I'm not a cocktail guy. I'm a straight up like, pour me something over ice and I'm good. However, as I get into it and as I learn more, especially about mezcals and different regions and things that are coming out of places that I had no idea even existed, that the flavor profiles are really in depth and the processes are really, even though they were all started from kind of the same thing, organically it's gone so cool, man. I mean, the dork factor is really making the booze way better.
Yeah.
Well, the whole premise behind every alcohol that was ever created in its, well, I can't say from the beginning, but let's go back at least 100 years and say that is that they created it all out of plants.
Right.
And so in the same way that you create any dish, in any food, in anything you put in your body, everything is Mother Earth derived. And so whether it be this that is coming from a pineapple or this that is coming from a grapefruit or this that is coming from a wild asparagus-like plant from northern Mexico or this that is coming from an agave plant from southern Mexico, and you talk about piscos from South America, from Peru that come from grapes, they're all plants. All of them are plants, and they're plant-derived distillates. And so when we disassociate the the flavor profile from the plant experience, as we would with any food, then we have lost the script a little bit.
Absolutely.
And so we're getting back to that, what it was originally for us as humans, what it was for us as how it was originally created.
I got to ask you, this word pisco that I keep hearing, pisco sour, I had them, and I think they're delicious. I know nothing. What the heck is a pisco?
It's a...
I know, everybody's like,
right?
what, I mean, you just brought it up, and then my brain went, I've been meaning to ask somebody this for like ever, and I have no clue.
It's another spirit, just like it's a different category. So you have tequila, you have vodka, you have pisco.
So pisco's not new, though. It's new to me, but I'm assuming it's been around for a million years like everything else. I just didn't know.
It's growing in popularity here in America, but in Peru, where it originated, it's derived from grapes, as H.E. said.
Grape distillate. So
grape distillate.
Another big grape distillate on the planet that we drink all the time? Brandies, cognacs.
Cognac.
So brandies for the most, cognacs come from region in France. Brandies we drink from other regions. Pisco is basically a brandy that comes from
Peru
for the most part. I mean, you get some Argentinian ones, but it's South America. But they don't put any age on it. Is the difference?
So it's a clear spirit.
Yeah, that's what confused me. I'm
gonna give you the word.
Sure.
Eau de vie.
Eau de vie.
I love that word.
I know you do.
The eau de vie.
I saw your Lance Winters interview.
Water of life.
Bro, I'm still getting that tattooed on the back of my neck. You're like, what is that? That's my eau de vie.
No,
he's a little drip.
Lance
that's a whole different story.
Lance
I take penicillin for that now.
Lance is going to watch you when you do that, and I'm going to watch him watch you when you get that done.
Perfect.
So,
I'm down. Eau de vie is one of my favorite terms, and we actually learned that originally from that Louis Trey, where it was like, a million eau de vie. I don't know. They were talking some crazy nonsense. But
that's great distillate also.
1,200 eau de vies.
Yeah, crazy, right?
Yeah.
Crazy, dude. And the cool thing is you could wear all those eau de vies and a little leather strap and carry a bottle on your horse. That was that was the whole theory. Did you learn that about that thing? That was awesome, man. I just don't know why I need a horse or have an expensive bottle of Louis Trey while I was riding it. But
it's called a dram. Is the little tube where you keep the booze in. So you could put your...
I really like that we have cars and trunks now and
bottles.
I'm allergic to horses, so it is what it is. And that's but Louis Trey.
I have nothing to say.
Eau de vie, yeah, well, it went nowhere fast. I'll take that lashing. It's okay. But so the eau de vie, so the pisco is clear, and that's what threw me with pisco. Everybody's like, oh no, it's like a cognac or brandy. And I'm looking at this clear liqueur, and I'm like, I like it, but this all doesn't make sense.
So it's a cognac, basically. Before it's aged.
Right.
So this is what goes into the barrels and gets aged and then essentially turns into either, if it's made in France, it's a cognac. Sorry, if it's made in cognac, it's a cognac. Anything outside of that border would be called a brandy.
Right.
Grape distillate.
Cool. With no age.
Correct.
So it's a new...
Some of them do, but for the most part, there's not.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you can get geeky and get into the grape varietals, and then there's different versions of piscos with this grape, and then it's called something else with a different grape.
Would you say that because wine's been doing this forever, right? I mean, obviously I think wine was, and correct me if I'm wrong, but wine was probably one of the more original ways in which we were indulging in alcohol, right?
Yeah.
And they're very much
essentially beer, I think, was first.
Really?
There's a book that I just recently read called The World in Six Glasses, and it talks about, it kind of shows you how the world has evolved from beer to wine to spirits to coffee and to even how Coca-Cola and soda has shaped our world. So, it starts, with beer back when there was no potable water to drink, and then they started distilling. And
for clarification, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, to me, that's fascinating. One, I think, is because beer to me came way after it, and for wine, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I studied culinary, and every French is like, it's wine and wine and wine and wine. And I think the romantic part of wine is now spilling into booze. From when I talk to people that do more crafty booze, is that now it's starting to come down to region, culture, area, how it's settled or aged. And those to me seem like very wine qualities, which is awesome because that's how it's digested. And the romantic part of it is they're not messing with it a whole lot. So these things you're talking about, they're not really messed with a whole lot. I mean, this tastes like pineapple, booze, and sugar.
Yeah,
which is delicious, right? It's not like we did whatever. And there's then you did 900 processes and distilled it a million times. Like no, we just did it right the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you really want to try to capture the true essence of whatever Mother Nature is producing, whether it be a pineapple, an agave, or a grape.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm down. All right. Go for it. You were going to say something good.
Yeah,
right there. I can smell it, dude.
I know it is.
Smell it, dude.
Okay,
Go for it.
Here's one of my soapboxes out there in the world right now is like, why is it in the world we define alcohol as quality because it's smooth?
I don't know. I don't agree with that at all.
So when is it that you had a salsa and you went to a Mexican restaurant and it tasted like nothing and you said, that's the best damn salsa I've ever had in the world because it tastes like nothing.
Right.
Or you had a, I don't know, like a carbonara pasta and you were like, that tasted like nothing and that was the best carbonara. So why is it that we associate the absence of flavor to alcohol as quality?
Well, I think my if you're asking, I'll tell you right now, it's because people like people really say they don't like liver, and I have to mask the taste of liver because it's an acquired taste. So like if I were to say anything's an acquired taste, people think it's good when it doesn't taste like that thing. So like I can be like, oh, this is liver and onions. So like, oh, that was so good, it didn't even taste like liver, and you're like, well, because I'm teaching you how to like liver, right? So by the end of eating that with me 4 or 5 times, you're actually going to be able to eat liver. And I think booze attributes that. Like when I first started drinking whiskey, I wanted something that didn't burn. I wanted something that didn't that I wasn't breathing fire. Now I'm like, hey, this is good, you know? And sometimes I want fire and sometimes I don't. And so I think people are just trained that if you don't like something, it's like, oh, I don't like the harsh one. Well, that's kind of what that person was going for. And you're just not there yet.
Yeah.
So I think that's maybe why you hear that so much. I hear it in food all the time, man.
Right, and I think I do liken it to salsas all the time. And you and I were talking earlier about hot sauces. We were like, do you like hot sauce and all? And it's like it's not about good or bad. And so burn isn't good or bad.
Right. Totally.
Now, within that context, you've got to understand if something's well made and ethically made and all that too. I mean, so there are varying levels of that definition, but. So many times, like we identify a harsh alcohol distillate, which is what we're going to be getting into here next. And when I say harsh, heavy, high booze, 45%, 48% alcohol. And these are
real booze.
These are big beasts.
Right.
Now they are going to affect you, and they're not smooth. They're not at all smooth, and they're not supposed to be. They're supposed to impact you and move you and affect you. Now, you don't have to like them, but you've got to experience them. And I liken it to like a really, really intensely, spicy dish, whether it's like a Thai style, massaman curry or a Mexican salsa or a mole or something like that that's going to have an intense spice to it. And you go, well, that's what it's intended to do. Now, it's going to impact you and it is going to move you. Now, whether or not you like it or not is certainly up to your own discretion.
Oh, yeah.
But in booze, we oftentimes associate that harsh impact in our mouth as bad and awful because we've been trained on poorly made distillates.
Yeah,
I agree 100%. And I think the same way goes with food, man. I constantly, you just said that when I started eating Thai food, I was very little. My dad used to take me to Thai all the time when I was little. And then I lived in Texas where it was like, Tex-Mex was like either hot or not hot. Yeah. There's no middle.
Yeah, right.
There was no 5-year-old hot. It was either hot or not hot.
Yeah, right.
And I remember being a kid and being like, all right, I'm going to try this. And this guy's like, don't do it. And I remember like, I think that's the first time I ever hallucinated in my entire life. I was sitting in a little Tex-Mex buffet going, oh my God, this is not, I'm seeing purple people eaters. This is nuts. And literally
plant medicine, right?
But that hatred for that one time, I love heat now. I don't like painful heat. But I love heat now, and that's the same thing. I think people just aren't trained, and people like different shit, man. I know that when I make a dish, if I don't make it cookie cutter, then I'm gonna out of 10% of the people aren't gonna like it. That's just how it goes. There are 100 people in the room, 10% aren't gonna like it, even if I think it's the best, most approachable, whatever. And that's just part of them talking about not liking to somebody that does, and that's how the world goes around.
And there's a bunch of chain restaurants. If they don't like your style, they can go to.
Yeah, and I think that the 90% of the people that do like it, they're going to tell somebody else. And the one person that says, oh, I didn't like that, now you have a conversation while you're not there, and that's the best marketing on the planet.
And that's who you're cooking for anyway.
Yeah, I think you're cooking for both in the real world, man. I really enjoy the haters, man. I've been watching and listening, and I really pay more attention to the haters. Not that I acknowledge them all. I just listen.
It's important.
And I really appreciate the time they've spent on hating me, because it really, that shows how much of an impact what we're doing makes them either like or not like. And their time is worth more than their hatred to me. So I appreciate that, to be honest with you.
You've moved them. So, you've moved them. You really have.
Yeah. Whether it's good or bad, I don't care. It works. And as long as we're talking about it, they're like, hey, it's fine with me.
That's really cool.
I appreciate it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I think it's important. I was doing a tasting once, and it kind of there was a bunch of we're gonna call them douchebags that were coming up to the.
That's inappropriate. That's a political term.
You know, they were coming up, and they were like,
I like that you searched really hard for that word.
I know.
And douchebag came
well,
out.
I know, right?
He was almost trying to censor it.
Yeah, right?
No,
don't censor it.
That was my censoring editor.
Yeah.
Like,
you did good.
Rolodex going. And anyway, and so like, you know, guys come up, big beefcake dudes, like, hey, what's your smoothest? I'm like, well, actually, none of them.
Right.
And they're like, oh, well, okay, well, what do you like then? And I go, well, what I like isn't smooth, so probably not an applicable question.
I have a different word for those
here.
guys.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then they were like, oh, it would just, I don't know, give me your best-selling one. And I go, I'll make a deal with you. If you put it in your mouth and you swish it around for 5 seconds and you swallow it and you don't put anything in your mouth.
He's practiced this line before.
That's a good one.
For 60 seconds. You swallow it and you don't taste anything for 60 seconds. Like
That's how I
no
ended up
water.
married.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And now you don't have to like it, but you got to taste it because the guy who made that plant's been 8 to 10, 12, 15 years in the ground, depending on what plant you're tasting. And the guy who made it put so much love and effort and energy into it, and his heart and soul's in it. Like, if you don't like it, you don't have to like it, but you have to taste it.
Yeah, taste it, appreciate it, and have an opinion.
You can't throw it down your gullet and try to bypass any flavor receptors in your mind so that you can escape from whatever misery you're living in your life to mentally like check out. No, I don't adhere to that kind of drinking.
Totally.
You know?
You got to taste it.
You got to live it. And you got to love it.
Right on. Well, I'm stoked to try this, man. We talked about it so much. We're going to come back to the next segment, and we're going to knock out these three, and we're going to really figure out what the difference is between this, and I'm going to say it horribly wrong. It's not tequila. It's
Sotol.
Sotol.
Sotol. Now I'll know.
And mezcal.
And mezcal. It's not just mezcal?
Mezcal.
I'm not that cool. We'll talk about it when we get back. We're going to see what's up with these, man. Thank you, guys. Stay tuned.